Plus, how a decade-long project finally gets off the ground.
And
the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Find out how former President Donald Trump's felony convictions will affect election campaigns. Newswatch starts right now. A former Nelsonville City Council member is accusing city officials of conducting public business in private. Good evening, I'm Lucy Schaefer.
And I'm Betty Kankambuedu. Welcome to Newswatch. A former Nelsonville City Council member has accused city officials of violating Ohio sunshine laws. Illegal documents filed Friday. Greg Smith is asking an Athens County judge to order city officials turn over public records. The documents include text messages, emails, and phone bills from city officials. The request to the judge comes after Smith submitted a public record request for the documents but never received them. Smith made the request after observing city officials texting and whispering during 2 city council meetings in March. The city has not yet responded to the legal action.
In an effort to improve the economy in Appalachia, 4 Southeast Ohio cities are receiving pre-development support. Opportunity Appalachia selected Warren, Portsmouth, Marietta, and Logan as they look to bring jobs into the region. The cities look to secure over $34 million in funding for projects that will lead to 480 permanent jobs. Logan's plans will also secure roughly 40 housing units by developing the historic Riley Shoe Factory building into space for residential and commercial use. Opportunity Appalachia will provide assistance to the projects, aiding in the development of investments, structuring financial transactions, and conducting market research. Zanesville is securing funding to replace a water line on Dresden Road. Ohio Water Development Authority awarded Zanesville over $5 million on a low-interest loan for the construction of over 6,000 feet of water line along Dresden Road to replace aging water lines. In addition to Zanesville's loan, the ODWA awarded nearly $25 million in loans across the state in an effort to make water quality improvements.
For our first look at weather today, you can see that we've had that temperature high of 81. It's been a muggy 81 with that cloud cover and that rain that we've been having throughout the day. That low that we'll be hitting later tonight of 65. You can see currently out there we're at 76, with those partly cloudy skies. We just got out of a blip of thunderstorms here in Athens, but those will be coming back looking later into the night. Looking at that radar out there, you can see Athens 76, Lancaster 76. Some of that rain is going a little bit more east. You can see in Welling and in Zanesville that they're a little bit cooler. You can see especially in Zanesville that they're a little bit cooler at 72. We're looking at that radar. We've been hit with that on and off rain all day. We've had those isolated thunderstorms and they've been giving us some lightning and quite a bit of rain for our Wednesday. We're going to be looking at that national radar of just how much cloud cover we've had and how much rain we're going to be getting looking into tonight. So definitely have that umbrella with you if you're continuing any day plans throughout your Wednesday. But after this rain, we're going to be looking at some clearing. It's going to be clearing out looking into the rest of the week, but we're going to end out our weekend with just a little bit more rain. So make sure that if you're doing having any night plans that you keep that umbrella with you, and I'll be getting back with later about how much you're going to need that umbrella later in the weekend.
Nelsonville is announcing an extension to the road closure on Burr Oak Boulevard to traffic between East Canal Street and Hillside River for the second time. These roads will be closed until next Wednesday, 5 p.m. The roadway has been closed as part of a water line replacement project. The city says the project is facing delays because of multiple days of rain. A normal traffic pattern for a stretch of West Union Street will be happening sooner than originally planned. The city is speeding up timeline with contractors Shirley and Sons to have two-way traffic patterns back by July 31st. For the past 3 months, vehicles have only been able to travel eastbound on West Union up until Hospital Drive. Mayor Steve Patterson says Shirley and Sons began accelerating the project even before the change order went through to better prepare for the Athens County Fair and to help local businesses.
hear and know that now we have a new addendum basically to the contract where things are going to be accelerated moving forward would be of great interest to the business owners in that corridor.
Shirley and Sons and the City of Athens landed at negotiating an additional $87,000 from the State Infrastructure Bank loan, which already is funding the project. Ohio has the third highest rate of unhelmeted motorcyclists involved in fatal crashes. Florida personal injury lawyers analyzed data from the National Highway Traffic Administration and determined that Ohio has the third highest ratio, with over 70% of drivers who died in accidents not wearing helmets. Indiana and Iowa rank above Ohio on the list. The National Highway Traffic Administration also offers some tips for motorcycle safety. They recommend that drivers spend time practicing operating their motorcycle and making sure they check things like tire pressure and headlights before driving. They also say to drive safely, follow traffic laws, and don't take unnecessary risk. For more information on motorcycle safety, visit nhta.gov.
In Ohio's fight against addiction, Governor DeWine signed an emergency order banning 9 synthetic opioids. The executive order authorizes the Ohio Board of Pharmacy to classify 9 synthetic opioids as Schedule I controlled substances, effectively banning their sale and use in the state. These synthetic opioids are known as nitazines. New nitazines compounds are increasingly found in Ohio's illegal drug supply. These nitazines are often more potent than heroin or fentanyl and present elevated risks of negative outcomes caused by unintentional drug poisonings, including death. The woman who stabbed a 3-year-old in a Giant Eagle parking lot is being held on a charge of aggravated murder, and a bond has been set at $1 million. 32-year-old Bianca Ellis stabbed Julian Wood and his mother Margot Wood in a Giant Eagle parking lot in North Olmsted on Monday. Julian later died while Margot was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say Ellis got the knife from the Volunteers of America thrift store minutes before. It's unclear whether she bought it or stole it. The 32-year-old had a previous warrant for her arrest for theft in North Olmsted, but it didn't involve violence. Police are calling the fatal stabbing a random act of violence. Her next court date is scheduled for Monday. Coming up, Boeing's Starliner spacecraft finally heads to space, and how former President Donald Trump's felony convictions will affect his campaign.
We've had that rain all throughout that day today. How we're going to be looking tonight and into the rest of our week, next on Newswatch.
In the spring of 2020, as the country goes into lockdown, outside, the garden is coming alive. As a wildlife filmmaker, I knew there were revelations here that could be just as amazing as anything I'd ever filmed.
These bees that just go, you know.
Discovering the secret life of bees took me on a journey I was not expecting.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB.
We must save our oceans, and we must also feed ourselves. Thankfully, there are people trying to do both.
There's no reason why more people shouldn't have access.
This kind of creative farming is extremely important.
I want you to fish, but I want you to fish smart.
Sustainability is to extend life, not just of the fish, but of us.
When you hear the term the future, what does that conjure up?
What we do and the things we create over the next few decades will shape all minds going forward for the rest of time.
I set out in search of people who are building better futures.
Civilization is precious. Life is precious.
Hundreds of years from now, they're going to look back on our generation as the most pivotal in human history.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
time is the charm for Boeing's highly anticipated Starline launch.
The crewed spacecraft successfully launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station this morning. This morning's launch has been a decade in the making for the Boeing team.
Veteran NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams' journey aboard the reusable Starline capsule to the International Space Station will take just over 24 hours. The mission, known as Crew Flight Test, has been scrapped twice before, most recently on Saturday.
Supplies are on board to make repairs to the space station, and the astronauts will be testing the Starliner's capabilities. Today's success begins the major final milestone Boeing needs to be deemed ready for routine operations for NASA.
In approximately 8 days, the astronauts will use the same capsule to return to Earth. President Joe Biden rebuked former President Donald Trump as a convicted felon earlier this week.
This marks the first time the president has spoken about the conviction. Julia Benbrook takes a look at how both sides decide to speak about the subject and appeal to voters.
During an off-camera fundraiser earlier this week, President Joe Biden called out former President Donald Trump as a convicted felon. This comes as some Democrats press for a more robust political attack following Trump's guilty verdict.
I do believe that if it was in reverse, that Donald Trump would campaign on that. I think that's going to be a decision on the president and his campaign team, but I, for one, have no quorums bringing up the fact that a jury of his peers found him guilty.
For the most part, the president has strayed away from talking about Trump's legal woes. But Biden did speak on it briefly from the podium after the conviction.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed.
Meanwhile, the Trump team is speaking about it loudly and often, pointing toward the election almost immediately after the verdict was handed down.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
The former president's team says they brought in big numbers, 53 million online in the 24 hours after his conviction. Trump, whom a jury found guilty of all 34 counts of falsifying business records, has repeatedly and falsely accused Biden of engineering his criminal prosecution in New York. While Republicans have rallied around Trump since his conviction, it remains unclear how the verdict will go down in swing states, where the shift in a few thousand votes could decide November's election. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Senate is expected to vote on a bill that would guarantee access to contraception nationwide. The Right to Contraception Act would enshrine into federal law for a right for individuals to buy and use contraceptives, including birth control pills and condoms. The measure is a part of the Democrats' push to highlight reproductive rights after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The legislation is expected to fail in a procedural vote due to GOP opposition, though some Republican senators have introduced a version of legislation that does not include Plan B, which they consider an abortive service. Some of the last surviving veterans of World War II are gathering in France as celebrations are underway there ahead of tomorrow's 80th anniversary of D-Day. D-Day was when the U.S. and other Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy in 1944, signaling the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Few veterans from back then are still alive, and those who are around 100 years old. The event is a time to honor those still alive today and those who never made it home.
Describe, all these people never think they recognize old veterans, what our country really means. I love my country.
The French First Lady and President are serving as hosts. President Joe Biden arrived today, and British royals are participating in the festivities.
Not only does the sun damage the skin, but it can also cause skin cancer. Sunscreen can help protect your body from harmful ultraviolet rays. Mandy Gaither has more on how to avoid common sunscreen mistakes this summer.
It should be worn year-round, but especially when you spend more time outdoors.
Sunscreen happens to be one of the most effective ways of protecting your skin from the sun.
Dr. Susan Masick with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says sunscreen mistakes are easily made. Some of the biggest, not wearing any at all and not putting sunscreen on properly.
So you want to apply and you want to reapply every 2 to 3 hours. And you want to make sure you're putting enough on. You can never put too much sunscreen on, but you could definitely not put enough on.
Masick says to apply sunscreen 15 to 20 minutes before going outdoors and to make sure not to miss any areas the sun's rays can reach.
Specifically the face, the ears, the hands, sun-exposed areas. Don't forget any of those nooks and crannies that can be exposed to the sun.
Make sure you're using the right protection. Masick says to get a water-resistant, broad-spectrum sunscreen that protects against both UVA and UVB rays with an SPF of 50 or above. For those with sensitive skin, mineral sunscreens with ingredients like titanium dioxide and zinc oxide are also an option.
Mineral sunscreens tend to reflect the sun rays, and chemical sunscreens tend to absorb and scatter them. They act differently, but they're both protective.
Finally, sunscreen expires. Masick says it's best to restock your supply every year. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
All right, Lucy. So it's been raining today, but looking at the weather in the coming days, when do you think we'll probably need more sunscreen?
It's looking like as soon as tomorrow, we're going to need that sunscreen once again. I know it's been a rainy one today. You can see with that 70% chance of thunderstorms that we've been having, those thunderstorms are going to be hitting in and out throughout the rest of the night. We just had a little bit of a blip of some thunderstorms here in Athens. We're going to be seeing those thunderstorms from this outlook that we've been having, those marginal risk of thunderstorms that we've been having today. That just means those isolated chances of those thunderstorms and that lightning. That'll be, anytime that it rains, there is a little bit of a risk of that thunder, and it's looking like it's going to be hitting us at around that 11 p.m. hour. Looking at tonight, we're going to be having, we're going to have that overnight low of 65, that 80% chance of thunderstorms, like I said, that 11 o'clock hour, and that'll be hitting again at those early a.m., looking at about 3 a.m. for the next wave of those thunderstorms. Looking at that radar, you can see just when it's hitting us right now, and it's going to be continuing looking into the night and into the early morning. But afterwards, we're going to have this little bit of a clearing. It's going to be clearing out for these next couple days, and it'll hopefully get pretty sunny looking at tomorrow with those mostly sunny skies. A little bit cooler of that high with 82 than we've been having these last couple days, and especially a little bit cooler of a low with that low of 56. That low is from this cold front that is coming through that is going to be hitting us throughout these next couple days. You can see 12 hours ahead. We're not quite out of that little bit chance of rain. It's going to be coming mostly from some clouds that we're going to have a little bit of this coverage. Looking at this time tomorrow, we're going to be out of that chance of rain. You might see a couple of clouds here and there, and especially this cold front making its way through. Looking at Friday morning, that is whenever it's going to be hitting us the most with that cold front, a little bit more of that cloud cover. And looking at Friday night, it's going to be clearing out pretty well and giving us a little bit cooler of that high at 74. Looking throughout the rest of the week, we're going to be having those partly sunny skies on Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday, that's whenever we're going to have our next chance of storms and thunderstorms. But looking at this time next week, we're going to be back into those sunny skies and a little bit more seasonal here for southeast Ohio. It's definitely going to be, you're definitely not going to need that umbrella quite after today, but you might need it looking at early next week. Let's take it back over to Lucy. Thanks, Isabel. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set for a third consecutive term in office. This comes after vote counting in India's general election concluded earlier today. The final results show Modi's BJP-led alliance won 292 seats, only 20 more than the 272 needed to win an outright majority. But his party also lost one of their strategic strongholds, the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. It's a stunning blow for Modi, who had vowed and expected to win the election with a supermajority. Modi thanked his supporters after the results were announced. Coming up, how this retail chain is going to stop shoplifters. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube.
Have you ever wanted to visit Hotel Portofino? Let me help you enjoy this special place. Hi, I'm Walter Uzzolino, executive producer of Hotel Portofino. Join me in our upcoming special and allow me to be your guide to the food and the fun, to the sun-kissed beaches and the secret romances in Hotel Portofino, touring Portofino.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
I am Professor Jasper Tempest.
There have been 4 unexplained sudden deaths in the southeast.
Professor?
Professor? Professor?
My name...
I know who you are.
Jasper has been taken to prison.
What was your plan?
Truth and justice are not always compatible.
We're just gonna let people die.
There are moves afoot to cut you loose. We shall have to wait and see.
There have always been those of us looking for stories that keep us alive.
You're born to this world to make a difference.
It's about building systems that will save lives.
Ya solo ese pasto se está acabando. Es una especie en peligro de extinción.
No one is the same. Everybody is so unique.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. In challenging times, we ask ourselves, what's the value of travel? Is it just hedonism or something more? After a lifetime of exploring Europe and inspiring Americans to see Europe as a springboard for world exploration, I'm sharing my reasons for why we travel. Join me for a candid and inspiring love story that vividly celebrates the rewards of exploring our world.
Thursday at 9:30 on WOUB.
A group of OpenAI insiders is sounding the alarm about what they call serious risks posed by the technology. They're also calling for whistleblower protections who speak up about it. In an OpenAI letter, the group of current and former AI company employees is demanding more transparency about the risks of AI. While companies have acknowledged some of these, the group said that they should be doing more to educate the public and put protective measures in place. They also want more protections for employees who come forward with concerns about the technology they're building. The group does not believe AI companies will voluntarily share critical information. They call current whistleblower protections insufficient because it's only a focus on illegal activity. Dollar Tree is considering selling or spinning off Family Dollar after acquiring the chain in 2015. The company was hoping a merger would help it compete with bigger rivals, but Dollar Tree is still wading through the mess it inherited with Dollar Tree. Analysts say a combination of messy stores, high prices, and too much expansion has plagued Family Dollar. The CEO of Dollar Tree says the two chains' quote, unique needs have led to the possible split. While both are discount stores, Family Dollar caters to low-income customers in predominantly urban areas, whereas Dollar Tree has more of a middle-income clientele in the suburbs. TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and HomeGoods have equipped some store employees with police-like body cameras. The parent company TJX says the measure is meant to stop shoplifting and keep customers and employees safe. A spokesperson said video footage will only be shared if law enforcement requests it or in response to a subpoena. TJX isn't the only retail chain looking at body cams. About a third of U.S. retailers said they were researching body cameras for employees, according to a survey by the National Retail Federation last year. Worker advocates say improved training, better staffing levels, and other safety investments do more to reduce shoplifting. Still ahead, how a Belmont County boy battling cancer goes on his dream vacation. But first, here's a look at what's coming up on your public television station.
This November's election will be critical. We will be electing a new president, a new Congress, and scores of state and local leaders. We'll be asked to approve initiatives from abortion to taxes to education. Do you know what's at stake? Will your voice be heard? Many states have made changes on where, when, and how you can vote. To find out what's on your ballot and what you need to know to make sure your vote is counted, go to pbs.org/preservingdemocracy.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
Did you know that you can donate property to WOUB Public Media? I'm WOUB Community Engagement and Membership Manager, Sherry Russo. Donating property is a great way to support WOUB, and you may even claim a significant tax deduction. Properties in any location, condition, and format are eligible for donation to WOUB. Back taxes, mortgage balances, and deferred maintenance do not prohibit your ability to donate. Our program covers all loans, liens, commissions, and closing costs, so long as there is equity in the property. If you have a land, residential, or commercial real estate asset that's unused or costing you money, consider giving back to the station you love by donating it to WOUB.
And the process is easy. Go to WOUB.org and click the Support tab to learn about property donations, along with many other ways to support WOUB.
Finally tonight, a 4-year-old boy who has been battling leukemia for 2 years has been given the gift of a trip to Disney as a surprise.
Meet Bryson Pierpoint, a resilient 4-year-old who enjoys playing with his friends, dinosaurs, and sea creatures.
He likes to play with sharks. He's really interested in sharks and sea creatures right now.
But at the age of 2, Bryson's journey took an unexpected turn when Brian and Kristen Pierpoint found out their son was diagnosed with leukemia. Their lives revolved around hospital visits and treatments.
So he's been through a lot in the last 2.5 years.
So 807 days total.
But on July 9th, Bryson will be going to Morgantown to finally ring the bell.
He's been in treatment for 2 years, and he actually finishes up treatment in 4 weeks from yesterday. So June 28th, he finished up treatment.
And on Saturday, a special surprise was granted by a Special Wish Foundation to Bryson and his parents. The Wish, a trip to Disney World, Universal, and SeaWorld.
Well, we would love, with the help of your sponsor and everyone here, would you like to go see Mickey?
We're really grateful to have this opportunity. He's missed out on a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of vacations and a lot of just time with other little kids.
As his wish was able to come true, Bryson wants to say this to everyone.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for my wish.
Thank you for my wish.
Now that's such a sweet sweet thing that they did for him. Have you ever been to Disney?
I have a little bit more than I should, but yes, have you?
No, I haven't.
Well,
but
the
it's
weather,
a dream, so yeah.
The weather might be sunny in Florida, but what about here?
Well, we've been hit with those kind of tropical thunders, little storm with those storms that we've been hit by today. But looking currently out there, we're partly cloudy. That 76 degrees, we have been in those highs of those 80s for today. We're starting to cool down. Looking at tonight, we're going to be hit with that low of 65, still on the warmer side, but we're going to be looking at some thunderstorms. That 80% chance of thunderstorms, that'll be hitting us more at that 11 o'clock hour and that 3 a.m. hour. But don't be afraid if you're going out there and you might see an isolated shower here or there. Looking at tomorrow, we're going to have those mostly sunny skies. That rain is going to be making its way through. That high of 82 and that low of 56. It's going to be a little bit chillier than we've been used to these last couple days with that low. Looking at that 7-day outlook, we're going to be seeing that after tomorrow with that high of 82, we're going to be looking in those 70s for these next 4 days. Once we're hit by Sunday, we're going to have that chance of showers once again. And then looking at about this time next week, we're going to be back in those sunny skies. So don't get too used to using that umbrella quite yet. Look throughout the week, we're just going to be having some pretty nice June days, a little bit chillier than normal, but it is going to be a nice one looking at these last couple days.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Isabel Isco, I'm Betty Kankambuedu.
And I'm Lucy Schaefer. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.